All right. Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 meeting of the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Mr. Gress, were we able to get the door taken care of out there, or? Yes. Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure we, as I go into roll call, in case somebody's waiting out there. Looks like Commissioner Bowie is absent. Commissioner Ingert?
No. Present.
Commissioner Faulkner?
Present.
Vice Chair Fizer?
Present.
Commissioner Manser?
Present.
Secretary Peterman?
Present.
Commissioner Urquilla is out, as I believe Mr. Turnbow is on his way back from Jeff City, so he's absent as well. And Wiggins is here, so we've got 6 tonight. Thank you. That will take us to number 4, which personal appearances, none scheduled for this evening, into item 5, consent agenda, approval of minutes from the February 21st, 2023 meeting. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faulkner.
I move that we accept consent agenda.
Second. I've got a motion by Commissioner Faulkner, second by Commissioner Manser to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion of the item? Seeing none, all in favor? Passes unanimously, 6-0. Thank you. No unfinished business on our agenda this evening, so that takes us to item 7, new business. We have one item, case 23008, Oak Ridge Farms 4th plat, replat of lot 58. At this time, I would ask either the applicant or the city to please present the case. Hi, could you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, Ashley Siebert, 512 Northeast Legacy View Drive in Lee Summit, Missouri. I'm here representing the 4th phase of Oak Ridge, and it probably looks familiar and you're wondering why you're here, so I'll be short and sweet. It's the same project, same everything that we presented a year ago. The only difference is, as it currently stands, it's one large plat, and we're going to divide it up into individuals now that we have all the building drawings. And really, honestly, the intent is just purely administrative. It kind of helps us on the front end to be a little bit more proactive when we get ready to go through construction and completing the buildings. It doesn't have anything to do with wanting to sell them individually or anything. We'll always, maintain ownership as an owner and an operator. So yeah, I'm here if you have any questions, but fairly straightforward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dylan, do we have a city?
Yes, sir.
Report?
Thank you, Ms. Siebert. Good evening, Chairman and members of the Commission. Tonight you have in front of you an approval or a request to replat Lot 58, Oak Ridge Farms, 4th plat. This is the replat of Lot 58 will actually create 24 additional lots. This is essentially just creating a lot for each building. None of the building locations are changing. None of the infrastructure is changing. The roads are still going to remain private. Just like the applicant had said, this is more of an administrative thing, but as the word administrative is used loosely, a minor plat for us is 5 lots or less that we can do administratively, which is why this application is in front of you tonight. Staff did review the submittal, and everything is compliant with the UDC. Just a couple of the items that I wanted to hit on with the history for this. As you've seen this project many times last year in 2022, there was a rezoning that took place on April 25th, 2022 from General Commercial District to R3A. August 2nd, Planning Commission approved the site plan for Oak Ridge Farms 4th plat. August 22nd, City Council approved the final plat for Oak Ridge Farms 4th. And then also on December 6th, the site plan was approved for the multi-tenant building for Mr. Handyman. All the bulk and dimensional standards that will still apply for this project with the R3A zoning designation. And that's it. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission accept the staff proposed findings of fact in forward case 23008 Oak Ridge Farms 4th plat, replat of lot 58 to the City Council with a recommendation of approval. This concludes staff report.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of either the applicant or city staff?
Please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faulkner.
Okay, I think I only have 2 questions, and I'll direct them to staff, and you can redirect if you like. So I brought my big map. I'll work from memory for a minute. But over on the left side, the very west side of this property is what I believe is Lot 1 Heritage Plaza. It's not part of this plat, but for reference, on the just on the east edge of Lot 1 Heritage Plaza, there's a strip of Oak Ridge Farms fourth plat. Don't think it has a building on it. It's just kind of a I don't know, I won't call it a buffer strip, but it's just kind of a leftover piece there between Lot 1 Heritage Plaza and the private road. And I wasn't sure. I think looking at the big plat, maybe that strip west of Lot 1 Heritage Plaza goes with Lot 65 of Oak Ridge Farms, which is below it, but I just didn't, I was thinking it might have, on other cases, it might have been called a Tract A or Tract B. I just didn't want it to be orphaned.
I believe you're referencing the portion of that lot 65 that would be on the west side of the private drive.
Well,
On the
not even, okay, so when I first look at Lot 65, it looks like a rectangle. And so right above it, I'll call it, there's an inset where Lot 1 Heritage Plaza sits into Oak Ridge Farms. It's inset more, and then there's a tract of land between the property line and the private street. Is that making sense?
I believe so. I think in previous drawings, it was a common area tract. It's not large enough for a building to be placed on it.
The last time we saw it, it was part of the overall
plat.
Lot 58, which, there was no question at the time.
Right. If I think we're understanding your comment correctly, this would be directly to the east of Lot 1 of Heritage Plaza, between that property and the private drive?
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly, that strip. And I was just kind of trying to go by, oh, hello, Mr. Sir. I was just kind of trying to go by solid lines and dashed lines on the plat, and was not certain, hence my question, but it appeared that the narrow strip with no building on it was part of the rectangular lot below it, 65.
I believe in looking at the plat and the drawings that we reviewed without some of the easements overlaid on it, it appears that that tract of land is actually part of Lot 79, which includes where the private drive would be located.
Sure.
Lot 65 would be immediately south of that, and you can kind of see the dashed line where that
Right.
that lot is proposed
Yeah,
to be.
it would make sense for it to be part of Lot 79, and having heard from the applicant that they don't plan to sell these lots off individually, it's probably not as important a question. I just,
It actually appears like it's, sorry to interrupt, but Lot 65, because Lot 79 goes across to the middle of the street and goes up. And so it's part of Lot 65, because the solid line here,
Yeah.
down, there, so it's all
you look,
65.
yeah.
According to the way the lines are, so it's
and-
just a little sliver of 65.
Right, and as long as it's not orphaned, and again, having heard that the applicant doesn't plan to sell individual lots, it's certainly not as critical to me. I just didn't want that to be orphaned if it should have been like a Tract A or something.
Yes, now that I see that it's the overlay of all the easements kind of makes it a little confusing.
Yeah, there's lots of little dashes and solids, and
But I would concur with you, that does appear to be a part of tract, or part of
65.
Lot 65.
Right.
yeah, because the track line goes The
Well,
lot line goes straight up the middle of the street,
Matt,
so.
if Matt Slish had been here, the professional engineer, I obviously would have directed the question to him, but I think I'm comfortable enough with that. Okay, while we're on the big map, and let me see if I can get my hand tool working here so I can pull it. Okay, the other thing, my other question, that center section between the two north-south private drives has a property line between, let's just start at the very top. You have lot 78 on the west, lot 77 on the east, and you have a dividing line that runs down between multiple lots. What I did not see there was a 30-foot rear building setback line. I do see that. I think I saw it everywhere else on the plat, but I'm wondering why there's not a 30-foot building easement line on the back of all of those lots right down the middle.
So typically what you'll see, it really just depends on how each surveyor creates their drawings essentially for these plats. The zoning code is what will restrict what that setback is when a building permit is filed. We did ask for an exhibit that had the building footprints as they were approved by the commission as part of the site plan
right.
to confirm that the lots would still support those buildings. What staff typically does and what our building official does with the building permit when we receive it is they will submit a revised, basically a plot plan each individually for those construction permits, and those are the documents typically where all of the setbacks are shown precisely.
Okay.
It's hit and miss on the plat drawings whether or not those are shown. It just depends on how the surveyor draws those up.
And obviously, I was picking up on the inconsistency that there's 30-foot rear setback shown everywhere except down the middle, and I think your answer's satisfactory.
The other, and Mr. Eppert touched on it in the staff report, would be the special conditions for attached single-family. In addition to the setbacks, there's also other separation requirements for when buildings are perpendicular versus parallel. So that's what staff requested before we brought it to this final drawing, was to make sure that all those, the approved site plan still complied with
Right,
those
and
setbacks.
I definitely, I did read, we're not re-examining the site plan tonight, it's just, we're adding dividing lines.
Well, I think something that staff did is we wanted to try and have the road as well as all the easements for the infrastructure in there so that you could kind of see it. And I don't know if after tonight maybe we made it a little more convoluted than it needed to be, but it was to try and provide some clarity, and I don't know if we did that or not.
Well, you know that I appreciate the detail, but I will say with some of those various utility easements in there, yeah, it got a little complicated.
Sure.
I'm sure the surveyors had a ball, and hopefully the construction crews won't dig into a line that's already buried there. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks.
Do other members of the commission have any questions for staff or the applicant? If not, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item, please.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Faulkner.
I move that Planning and Zoning Commission accept staff proposed findings of fact and forward case 23008 Oak Ridge Farms, fourth plat, replat of Lot 58, final plat, to City Council with a recommendation of approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Flip of the coin. I've got a motion by Commissioner Faulkner, a second by, I'll go with Vice Chair Fizer tonight, to accept the staff proposed finding of fact in forward case 23008 Oak Ridge Farms, fourth plat, replat of Lot 58 to the City Council with a recommendation of approval. Any final discussion of the items? Seeing none, all in favor? 4, 5, 6, 7. That will pass unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much. And just for the record, Commissioner Bowie is here, so that's why our numbers changed from 6 to 7. So that will conclude our new business for this evening. That would take me to Mr. Zer for a city council report, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Wiggins. Since your last meeting, we have had a city council meeting where a couple of items were read and voted upon for our first reading, including the Parkside First Plat, the Parkside Park First Plat, which is the dog park that will be coming to town, Sunset Lane First and Final Plat, the First Amendment to the Parkside MOU. Those are the items that came up for first readings. They will have second reading and then final approval. The most exciting and interesting one on that obviously being the installation of the dog park and platting of the same. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but that would conclude City Council report.
Oh, thank you. We're now being honored by the presence of Mayor Turnbow, just in time for item number 9, the staff report. All right. And it looks like it's raining out there. Did anybody have any questions of Mr. Zer regarding the city council report? If not, I would turn it over to staff. Staff report, please.
Just a couple items. Next meeting will be March the 21st. It'll be a Timber Trails mixed-use project. This is just to the north of Benton House, west of Dean Avenue. It's a, I guess it would be a traditional mixed-use project. You're going to see several, I think it's about 300 dwelling units for apartments, as well as a retail and a hotel. So be looking out for that. We will have a good neighbor meeting tomorrow night if anybody wants to attend. It'll be right here in this room at 6 o'clock.
What was the location of that, the development?
It's north of Benton House and west of Dean Avenue.
North
So
of Benton.
just north of Johnson Drive.
Know what the-
I guess what would be the future extension of Johnson Drive.
Okay.
Is that behind the current townhomes that are behind Walmart?
That's correct.
It's just to the south of those.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Does it go all the way over to the outer road behind Trans West?
Yes, so
it's kind of a
it'll be that
rectangle?
entire tract of land. It's about 22 acres, so.
And you said hotel, 300 apartments, and commercial?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And then just a reminder that April the 4th, Mr. Gress and I, as well as Ms. Pfizer, will be in Philadelphia for the conference, so we will be canceling that meeting, and then we will have a meeting after that. So that concludes my portion, and I'll toss this over to Mr. Gress.
And I just had one item I wanted to share with the commission. As you all know, recently the city council approved not the recodification, but we transitioned the website in which we host the city code. It became a lot easier for residents and staff to access the city code online. We also got the go-ahead to convert the UDC, which is actually chapter 400 of the city code as well, to that. And so we just finished that conversion here last week and received new code books here internally with staff. What I will send to the commission is a link to that website. It's called eCode 360. Without a login, you can peruse any section of city code and copy and paste. With a login, which you can request from the city clerk, you can basically maintain your own account. You can keep notes on different sections of code as you all are looking at different applications moving forward. So we'll provide that link to you all this week. It's a very easy to navigate site. With that, though, I know some people still like the physical booklets, and so if any commissioners would still like a physical booklet, I can make copies of what we have as well. And provide those to you at your convenience. So I just wanted to update the commission on that, but stay tuned and look out for a link to kind of visit that website, and I'll get started making a new book as well.
Thank you, sir. Anything to add, Mr. Mayor? Oh, very good. I'll take us to public comments, which I don't see any, unless you have anything to add. Beautiful. Thank you. That'll take us to commission member comments. I'm just going to start all the way at the end. Commissioner Bowie, sir.
Does anybody else want those booklets anymore? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
You will?
I raised a hand too.
Okay, make it 2. Yeah. He kind of encouraged me since I won't be the only one.
No.
All right, so with that said, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. There's lots of dirt being moved around the city, and so we appreciate that, and we know that it's all for a good cause. And, all right, thank you very much.
Mr. Manser.
Just wanted to say thank you to staff.
Secretary Peterman.
Thanks, staff. Like was said, there's a lot of dirt being moved around town. It's kind of fun to see stuff that starts here actually ends up happening, so it makes you feel a better part of it, so thank you.
Mr. Faulkner.
Thank you to staff, and I really appreciate the responses to my questions.
Vice Chair Pfizer.
I'd just like to say thanks as well and agree with everything that's been said so far.
Mr. Ingrid.
No change for me. Thank you, staff. I appreciate everything.
Mayor Turnbow, sir.
Yeah, so thank you for your patience with my absence in the past here recently. But today we went, or yesterday we actually went down to Jefferson City prior to the end of their session before they break for a spring break. They break starting Thursday afternoon with break, and they won't be back until March the 20th. Our reasons for going down were it's looking pretty good for House Bill 909 to get through the House. They're likely not going to take it up for a final vote until the first day that they come back from their break, which will be March the 20th likely. But they still could make it this week. It is on their calendar. It's like third or fourth on their calendar for this week, but we'll see where that goes. But likely it'll be after they return from spring break. And then it will be carried over if it passes, and we believe it has a great chance of passing. It'll be carried over to the Senate by Senator Bratton, who will introduce it to the Senate, and it'll be assigned to likely the local government committees, similarly to what it was done at the House. And those are the senators that we've met with for the last 2 days, are the members of that Senate committee that would see House Bill 909 come to them. Had some great responses today. I think we're going to have a couple of no votes on it, but I understand their points of view, and but we only need 18 of them, so hopefully we'll be able to get that. But it was very productive. Our lobbyists are doing a great job down there. Theirs are too on the Monheiser side. They've hired 19 now. It's been up from 17 to 19 lobbyists that they have on board with them, and a couple of them we met today and talked to a little bit, and nice guys. They're just doing their job, but a lot of the information that we found that is being passed on to the legislature is inaccurate or just a flat-out falsification. And so we took down a packet that staff put together of the core team to dispel many of those issues that were being brought to them by the other side, which is we're trying to change the rules in the middle of the game. And frankly, I'm a bit insulted by the use of the term game. It seems like that kind of diminishes the importance of this issue that could affect our community. But I likened it to them, and it seemed to resonate with them, is that apparently on the floor of the Senate last week, there was some argument about an analogy on use of football or baseball, middle of the game, fifth inning, second quarter, stuff like that. I said, well, frankly, there's nothing official that's been done by these folks. If you want to use the baseball analogy, use it like this. They're still in the dugout trying to decide what uniform to wear. I mean, they really have not fielded a team yet, nor have they even brought their plan to any kind of review on an official capacity. So that seemed to resonate with the folks that we talked to today. So I think it's got a great chance of passing. We just have to stay on it. Our people that are engaged in our community need to continue to be engaged. They need to contact their elected officials. They need to give them their personal stories. That was the thing that we heard today, is that the stories that they're receiving, either via email or by handwritten letter even, are really stories that come from the heart of the people, and how this whole idea of a landfill has affected them in their life, and how their families and things like that. I think one of the strongest stories that we heard repeated from the committee meeting, that the one lady that owns a place in Creekmore, that they built their house in particular for their son who is disabled, and that tugged at the heartstrings of guys, the people down there. And they really did take that to heart, and that is one story that I think had, and so we're going to hopeful that family will return for the Senate hearing, and many of the others that came down there. One of the things, now that we have the Home Builders Association of Kansas City also pushing for the passage of House Bill 909, as we'd like to get a developer down there, with somebody from Summit Homes or Cooper Development, whoever, that talked about how they were they jumped through all the hoops. They did everything the right way. They came to the zoning commission. They got their permitting. They got their plans approved and things like that these people haven't even started doing. And so if you're changing the rules in the middle of the game, if that's the analogy, what about my game? What about the things that I've done as a developer, as a homeowner, and now you're changing the rules in the middle of the game for me by putting in a landfill right next door. So there's some really strong arguments to be made for the passage of House Bill 909, and it resonated in the House by people who gave heartfelt stories to how they're being affected, not only just residents of Raymore, but in the surrounding regions of Kansas City, Grandview, Lee Summit. It really meant a lot to them and affected them, and I think it can have the same effect on the Senate if we keep that messaging going. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's very helpful information. I know a bunch of folks in our neighborhood have been very active on Facebook within our community, encouraging people to reach out via email, phone call, whatever it may be. So if you're involved in a neighborhood Facebook or whatever group and nobody's really active there, I suggest that you take the opportunity to maybe encourage some folks. I know the raymore.com/killthephil has lots of great information and resources for who to contact and how to contact them. So I definitely encourage you, if you haven't been there, to take the time to go there yourself, as well as communicate to friends, neighbors, anybody within your community. So that way, yeah, I mean, it's other than, property values or whatever, I mean, that stuff is definitely true, but as Mayor Turnbow was saying, there are a lot of personal stories that, make an impact. Folks in Jeff City hear things all the time. Well, I don't like this or I don't like that. And it's just, I mean, we hear that sometimes even as this commission, I don't want it because it's not what I thought I was going to, I don't want a neighborhood next to me. I don't own the land, but can't do anything about it. But, if there's good reasons for things, please definitely encourage and share. And I liked, the comment about the game. That keeps being used, and it's definitely not a game. But I made sure in one of my emails to one of the state senators to incorporate that there was zero evidence that the game's kicked off or even been scheduled. There isn't even owned land to build a stadium on, let alone teams or a league lined up to play. No permits, no zoning requests, no applications, no land ownership, nothing. So it's terrible for them to use the analogy of changing the rules in the middle of the game when there's not even a league for a designated sport to even be played, because they have nothing. They've done nothing official at a capacity. So keep writing, keep talking to folks. With that, I think that I probably just would end with city staff. Thank you for all you do. Mayor Turnbow, thank you for always the information, as well as everything. I know you've been in and out of Jeff City a lot, but everybody just keep encouraging folks to reach out. Niceness sometimes pays off. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I move that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Faulkner, second by Commissioner Manser to adjourn. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Passed unanimously, 8-0. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.